for any woman who is listening to this, you lead the way. It starts with you. The peace in your home starts with you. The peace in your relationships start with you. The peace in your business starts with you.
Hi, friends. Welcome to Gather and Growth, a show for the leaders, thinkers, doers, and dreamers from rural communities and beyond. I'm your host, Emily Rushell. On this podcast, we defy expectations, bust through limiting beliefs, and ask the big questions to better understand this beautiful world and the people in it. This is your space to heal, grow, evolve, get curious, and build empathy bridges to truly transform from the inside out. Grab yourself an iced coffee and let's dive in. Friends, welcome back to Gather and Grow. Today, I'm joined by my dear friend, Sara, who is another one of, I don't know what you would call us, cohorts, colleagues, peers, friends,
Friends,
besties.
Yeah.
From the More Mastermind retreat and onward that I am a part of this year. And she is just the embodiment of so many things.
You're making me blush.
Okay. Well, I'm going to have to just let you introduce yourself here in a second. Seriously, you are in for a treat today. She is incredibly knowledgeable and just radiates an energy that I want to bring into my life. So we are in for such a treat. Sara, thanks for being here today.
Of course. Thank you for having me. I am the Sara Elise. The Sara Elise. There is no one like me. Nobody else does what I do in the way that I do it, like truthfully, and it is the best. So in introducing that, I actually formally have been in the process of rebranding my whole shebang, my whole business, everything. Yes. At this mastermind that we've been a part of, that's where it really was discovered that I have been hiding behind some of my masks. I've done so much healing work throughout my whole life. I was like, oh, I have this genius business idea. So good. So formally, you would know me as Diamonds in the Rough coaching. I was hiding behind that. And I didn't know I was hiding behind that. And Emily was actually one of the ones that helped me to give me the push of, Sara, you need to use your name in your business because what you do is on such a soul work. And so let me kind of explain why. Where did all of this even come from? A lot of life coaches I have found love to solely focus on mindset. Throughout the things that I've been through in my life, I've recognized mindset alone is not going to get you the healing that you actually need. It's going to help and it's going to bring growth, but it's not actually going to bring you the inner peace, the freedom, the love for yourself, the love and true connection, the presence for other people. I have known this my whole life. It's been like a soul thing that I've known this my whole life. So much so, literally, I graduated college in biology, psychology, physical education with a little minor in theology because I'm like the mind, the body, and the spirit all work together, literally all work together. You can't have one without the other. So that is kind of what started my journey. And then do you mind if I just go right into sharing?
You go story? Right in, Sara. Okay. We're here for all of it.
Okay. Thank you. In 2020, I had my second baby, postpartum. The world shut down. And this was actually a few weeks before the world shut down. I was very suicidal and I was extremely suffering. I was on a run with my sister and she and my friend were running up ahead of me. And I was literally counting the cars of which one I wanted to jump in front of. I literally was going to jump in front of a car that day because I thought my family would be better off without me. And if you are a mom, I know that you probably have had those feelings that it's I feel so inadequate. I don't know why I'm even here doing what I'm doing. Why would God put me in this place if he knew that I was going to struggle? I counted the car. The number was 7 because, angel number 7 represents heaven. I was like, let's go. I'm ready to go to heaven.
Logic right there.
Yeah. No. So I stepped off the curb and I felt hands push me back onto the curb. And I just fell down and started crying. But I am a doer and I want to finish things. And so I'm like, I'm going to get back up and just finish my run with tears coming down my face. In that moment, I was like, God made me for something more. My sister looked back at me and she just saw that I had tears coming down my face. And she came back to me and she was like, are you okay? And I was like, no, I'm not. And that was the first time in my whole life that I actually said I wasn't okay. Because my whole life, I've been the caretaker. I've been the person to serve other people. I've been the don't think about yourself, just serve. Like, just go and do exactly what you need to do to let other people feel good about themselves. When you let other people feel good about themselves, you'll feel good about yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And me, honestly, was just this backwards mind game that I was like, but I don't. I actually feel really bad about who I am right now and my family life. Like, I'm pouring into my family, pouring into everything, and I'm not happy. There's got to be more than what I'm doing in my life. It's almost outside of motherhood, because I truly know that motherhood is the most beautiful, edifying, goal-given journey that I actually think as we become mothers, it propels us into our potential. A lot of people use this phrase. A lot of my clients have used, I've lost myself in motherhood. I love to reframe it and just say, no, you haven't actually found yourself in motherhood.
Yeah.
And that is where I was. I felt lost in motherhood. I didn't know how to find myself. I didn't know how to connect with myself because I was doing everything for everyone else. My mom came, got help, got hormones tested, met with therapist after therapist, and my therapist that I had done like trauma therapy work from my childhood, she referred me to a postpartum therapist. And I worked with that therapist for about 12 weeks and then came back to my postpartum therapist. And she's like, Sara, I'm so impressed with your healing and the depth that you go. Do you want to go to school? I'll pay you to go to school, come back, work for me.
Wow.
And I like thought about it and I was like, no, I don't want to be a therapist. Like, so much regulation. And I knew that it would, like, I wouldn't have been able to bring God into it. And for me, because I know mind, body, spirit are all connected, having that connection to a higher power, even if that higher power is yourself, that is where true healing can take place. I believe like you cannot do that. You cannot heal to the depths of your soul without the connection to God or that greater power. I know not everybody believes that, and that's okay, but that is where there is the mind, body, spirit connection. You'll often hear me interchange the word spirit, soul. There's very minor differences. So just be aware of that. Fast forward after this whole scenario happened, I got help. I was on medications. I actually, for Sara, I'm going to kind of bring two stories together, if that's okay. It literally was 10 years ago this year. Okay. So 10 years ago, I was on my period for 13 months.
Wow.
Without stopping. It wasn't just little, is this TMI if I share this? Okay.
You go for it. You know what? We've been like getting into all the cycle healing stuff here, and those episodes have been shared like wildfire because this is information that we have not had access to and is like blowing our minds. So
and no one talks about it. That's
no
the thing.
one talks about it. So please tell us everything.
Okay. Bleeding for 13 months, not just spotting. Like, you guys, I would go, this was before I realized tampons were not the best thing for Sara, but I would go through 8 to 10 super plus tampons a day. Like, I was bleeding very heavily. This was also the first time away that I was from home. I had gone through a lot of trauma growing up, and that was my body's way. I didn't know this at the time, but that was my body's way of trying to rid the trauma that has been stored in my body. I know for a fact your body remembers things better than your brain. And that is why I say, like, from the very beginning, the mindset work that you do is not enough for the true healing that you need, to the depth that you need. After trauma therapy, because I hadn't gone through trauma therapy yet, I came home, did a few surgeries, was diagnosed with fibromyalgia, PCOS, endometriosis, was told I would never be able to have kids. And I didn't settle for any of those answers because it didn't feel true to my soul. Like, you know how when, like, you don't know the answer why or the reason why, but you just know there's, like, you have to do something or you don't, like, it doesn't logically make sense. That is how Sara has felt a lot of her life. That's like, I don't know why, but this is literally what I feel. When they told me I wasn't going to have kids and that I'd have to have a hysterectomy at age 25, I was like, no, I know that God made me to have children. I'm going to have children. I've had very sacred experiences in that knowing. Oh man, I took all accountability. For me, that was a stage of rock bottom. I think throughout a lot of our lives, we'll go through the ebbs and flows of what rock bottom looks like. I know that each of us have to choose what our rock bottom is. for change to actually take place, true lasting change, we have to decide, is this my rock bottom or is it going to get worse?
Mm-hmm.
If anybody else is like this, you don't like to be told what to do by other people. Well, that's me. So I did. I took on my own accountability. I started investigating every single thing that I could, anything that could help. And that was the first time that I realized for every physical symptom that you have, no matter how minor it is, an ache, a pain, a headache, a bigger diagnosis, a bigger disease, a bigger illness, Lyme's, Hashimoto's, thyroid, all of that, there is a probable emotional cause to it. There is a link. Your body is holding the trauma. Your body is holding on to what it's trying to protect you from. Again, I will say this over and over again. Your body remembers better than your brain. Honest to goodness, it will hold things. And then people wonder why they get sick. People wonder why something's happening to them. I've been fine. I've been healthy. Entrepreneurs, businesswomen, moms, because we're pouring to everybody else and putting ourselves on the back burner. And it is not fair to us for not even just thinking like, it's not fair. It's literally not fair to our being. Okay. I healed so much, so much emotional this is kind of ironic, but not at the same time. As I released emotional weight, guess what happened to my body? I released physical weight. As I started doing this deeper work, my body started changing and responding to it because it's like, oh my gosh, finally, I can release this weight. It's not holding on to it anymore. As much as, okay, well, I'll just say this, like a gift that I know God has given me is I can look at somebody and know exactly what they need to work on. Not just judging on their outer appearance, but like looking deep into their soul and being like, I can see that those are your blocks.
Yep.
This is where we're going to work. As we talk and as people work with me, it's like, you're only giving me like the outside of the layer. I'm going to peel back 10 layers and get deeper. That's what we're going to do. I'm going to make you think about things different and phrase things differently. Like, and it's such a beautiful, edifying work, but people have to be ready for it. Like I said, you have to choose what that rock bottom is because this work won't work. The true work that I do will not work unless you are ready for it. Bringing both of those stories together. As I was in my postpartum phase, I was like, why am I experiencing this? I've done so much work. Why is my mental health in the craps? Like, what's happening? I love camping. I love the outdoors. In my bio, you will see that's like, if I'm not working, if I'm not momming, I will always be outside connecting with God and in nature. That is one of my favorite ways to just breathe, to remember life, because I think a lot of us go through life living, but we're actually not living and breathing the life that we have been given. The breath of life, literally. Like we are the breath of life. God is the breath of life, and we're not breathing. We're just going, doing one thing to the next. And our breath is
resisting.
Yes, we are resisting so much. We don't know better. We haven't been taught better. Like our parents did the same thing. Their parents did the same thing. I love how I feel like there's been this huge awakening, this big shift coming back home to what we're made to be and how we're made to do it. So I was camping, and this was about it was May of 2020, Memorial Weekend. We're almost there.
I know.
Anyway,
crazy.
I know. It's so crazy. I was sitting around the campfire, and I love looking at the elements of the earth, air, water, fire, everything. And I was looking at the fire and kind of seeing myself in the fire, that I was just like, oof, Sara has had this protection, this protector part of fire her whole life. She hasn't been able to actually be Sara. Who is Sara? The complete identity crisis. I love to share with people that after birth of every child, a new birth of mom occurs too. There's a new version of mom that comes through. So something I love to say whenever I see one of my friends who's pregnant or who's on their postpartum journey, I always ask, not about the baby, but I always ask more of a specific question, like, what version of you is being birthed? Because that's literally what's happening too. It's so beautiful when we start looking at things completely different. I just love it. During that fire, I literally heard the words like, you're going to write a book. And I was like, that is ridiculous. A, how do I write a book? B, okay, I was good at English, but like also I'm not writing a book. Like, do you know who you're talking to? Someone who has ADHD. We're not doing this. Okay. But it kept coming. I put it off for a few months. And then I sat down and I was like, I know that I need to write a book. I told my husband, I'm going to write a book, and it's going to be a book of everything that has helped me to actually heal, the basics of helping me heal and what that can, because there's not enough resources that I have found that help us just start at the basics. Many people can't afford therapy, coaching. And this is the book that people can go to just get help. I don't know where to start. Start there. So that book is called Finding Your Diamond Through the Rough. My name, because I believe, right? I'm rebranding, but I believe that we truly are all diamonds in the rough, that we just need polishing to shine, whatever that looks like. The refiner's fire, the pressure, the resistance, everything is going to help change us and shape us into who God needs us to be. That book is available. You can get it on Amazon. You can literally just message me on Instagram and I can send you a link to it. I can even give your people a code if you want.
Perfect. We'll put it in the show notes.
Okay. So yeah, but I'm going to be rebranding all of that book too and just updating things, adding more to it. So it's more for like postpartum moms right now. But I'm like, why is it just postpartum moms? Because this is literally for every human being that is walking this earth right now that can benefit from these tools that are in this. Wrote that book, finished that in 2021. This therapist that I was working with that was like, hey, come back and work with me. And I was like, I love you, but also no. And she was like, well, what about life coaching? And I was like, excuse me, what, what is life coaching? And she explained it. And I immediately was like, yeah, actually, that is something that I need to do. We truly are all diamonds in the rough. We just need that polishing. We need that refinement. I have found so much of it. I think it's an ebb and flow process. I think healing is never fully done. I love it. Once you feel like you heal something, you're like, dang it, I thought I healed that already. Something else is going to come up, and it's just another beautiful thin layer to peel back from the healing that you've already done. That's the work that I do with women. I love when women come to me and they either have no clue of this work, but they are curious and they have a willing heart to actually do it. Mm-hmm. And they dive deep. We just go. Or there's women that have done healing and they're like, there's still something more. Like, I know that there's still more for me to do, but I'm not getting it in therapy. I am not getting it with the other coaches. Like, Sarah, you're that coach for me. I look into people's souls. I help them literally. I have so many different modalities that I use. Not every coaching session is the same. Like, it can't be, because none of us are the same. We're all so unique and individual. So a couple things I use, like EFT tapping, that is emotional freedom technique. You use acupressure spots to help release the emotions trapped in your body. Breath work, hypnotherapy, meditation, so many different things. Lots of obviously mindset work, right? So many things that we do with mind, with body, with spirit, and bring them all together for that full connection, that integration that needs to take place. I see people focusing on just one. Like, I'm just going to work on mindset. I'm just going to work on my physique, my physicality. I'm just going to focus on my nutrition and my exercise. And that should be enough self-care for me. And then I'm just like, girl, are you refueled?
So much more.
There's so much more. Are you recharged? Like, are those things that you are doing actually serving you the way that you need them to? Maybe not. A lot of my focus in the past has been like self-care, because self-care is the Band-Aid for the wound.
Yeah.
Like, you still have to have that protection that we need in order for the wound to be healed. But then guess what? The Band-Aid isn't just going to be enough. That's the same. I truly believe, like with medication, all of those things are good flotation devices to get us through, but the wound isn't going to be healed if you don't get to the root of the actual problem.
Like a bubble bath feels good, but it doesn't solve the problem.
Yes. Like a bubble bath. That's actually like one of my Instagram things that I'm going to be talking about. Like, a bubble bath is great, but that's not soul care. That's actually not nourishing you the way that you need it to be done.
Yeah.
I will completely advocate for those things, but the true self-care, real self-care, I always talk about real self-care, is what is going to refuel, recharge you, and you have to replace the Band-Aid sometimes. You can't just reuse the Band-Aid over and over again in hopes that it's going to heal that same wound. Man, this has worked for me in the past. Why isn't it working now?
Yes.
But you are a different person. Literally, what worked for you in the past may not work for you today. And we get so frustrated with that. But my job is to help you rediscover what's going to work for you today and what has in the past, and linking those two things together to come back home to you, to come back home to the heart of who you are and who you want to be.
I'm smiling so big because there is so much of what you talk about that I feel like parallels my own journey. Like when I came into the space of sharing online, like I was so passionate about habits and goals and mindset and all of that. And that served me really well and was kind of the gateway to everything else. But the deeper I got into conversations with myself and with the women I was working with and in these like small group communities, it's like, oh, that is like one small piece of the puzzle. And oftentimes rooted in like this hustle culture to-do list. Yeah. Like if I can just reach the goal, then I'll feel better. If I can just build this habit, then I will be enough. Like it's leaving behind and in fact, a distraction from like, what are these inner wounds that we've been carrying along with us for most of our life? Yeah. And how do we actually unpack that and work through that and heal that in order to actually feel the way that we want to feel? Because it doesn't matter what your goal is. It doesn't matter if you are the best habit tracker ever. It's not necessarily going to do what you think it's going to do. It's like getting deep and ugly and asking the hard questions and figuring out what is the why attached to this goal or this thing or this habit? And like, what do I actually need to work through or let go of or repair that's going to change it? And I love that you brought up like the different seasons too. And I've myself got caught in this trap before of like, gosh, it used to be so easy for me to do X, Y, and Z, or this worked really well in this season. Or before I had kids, I was able to blah, 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 blah. Or 5 years ago, I was able to blah, 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 blah. And it's like, well, your circumstance, your brain, your body, everything is different now. As dangerous as it can be to be in the comparison trap of ourselves to other people, I think it can be even more dangerous to compare ourselves to other seasons or versions of ourselves.
Absolutely. That gave me cold chills because I'm like, absolutely. That is like, we're our own worst enemy. It's not other people that we are getting in the comparison trap with. At the core, if we unleash kind of all of that, we actually have more in common with everybody more than we think we do. It's these protection parts. That's this overall resistance that we feel when we're looking at somebody else that we actually mirror reflect back to us. Everything is a mirror reflection. If you are looking at somebody and judging somebody, even like my husband, for example, I'm like, this is annoying. Why are you doing this? I'm like, oh, actually, Sarah, turn it inward. Hi, there's a little part of me somewhere that's being like, Sarah, this is annoying. Why are you doing this? Everything is a mirror reflection. Any judgment, good, bad, ugly, everything is actually a reflection of your inner world. Can I share some like interesting facts that I don't think a lot of people know?
Yes, please.
One of my favorite phrases, I guess, to state or to share with people is we always use this phrase of mind, body, soul, right? Mind, body, spirit. That's even the phrase that I use. It flows nicely. It's more beautiful. But if you want deep, true healing, guess what the actual order is? Spirit, body, mind. Your spirit was the very first thing created. It has never not lived. Your body was the next thing created. And your mind, your brain was the very last thing that was created. We're doing things backwards. We're like, if I just do my mind, then if I work on my mind, I'll connect to my body. And then if I connect to my body, I'll connect to my spirit. Yes, we can like go and weave in between all of them. Absolutely. But at the core, it's actually different. Like we have to start there with that deeper spiritual connection. And that looks different for everybody. That's the thing. It doesn't mean religion. It doesn't mean, oh, I have to have a belief in God. Like spirituality can look different for everybody. I think it is so profound for people to understand your nervous system started developing when you were 7 weeks in the womb. 7 weeks old, your nervous system started developing, started taking on your mom's nervous system. This work is really actually deep because it's like, oh, shoot, I have to actually uncover and change things like from when I was 7 weeks old in the womb because it's my mother's baggage, actually. And it's like a generational thing, right? If you are a mom, think about the state that you were in when you were pregnant with one of your kids. That is the nervous system that they are taking on. Were you stressed? What was your environment like? Were you ignoring? Did you feel disconnected? Were you always on your phone? Like thinking about all the things that affect the nervous system, it starts in the womb. And so sometimes this work, we have to go back to when you were in the womb to heal parts. It's just interesting. Some people are like, well, how do you do that? Magic. Just kidding.
Okay, no, that brings up a really good question because I mean, I'm sure someone's like nodding along, like, okay, I see it. I feel this. Like, I feel this in my body. I need to start this.
Yeah.
And aside from like Sara taking on, thousands of clients from the people who are listening to this, where do we begin? Like, okay, so mind is that therapy. Okay, body, like go to the gym. But like when we start this soul level healing work,
Okay,
it's going to look different for everyone. But where do we even begin? How do we start?
This is honestly one of my most simple answers. Start connecting to God's creation. And in the order that God created things, start connecting with that. There's power in connection with nature. I shared that a little bit earlier, right? Go and touch the rocks. Go and smell the flowers. Go put your feet into the grass. Look up at the sky. Stargaze. Okay. All of us actually love this tranquil peace that we feel when we're doing those things. Why are we not doing them more? Like that is what is going to actually start a spiritual connection, a deeper connection when we are connecting to God's creation first, because then we have an energetic connection. Literally, when you put your feet into the ground, no matter like cement, grass, anything, there is an electric, energetic field from that. You will get more energy in your body. When you stand in the sun, taking 7 deep breaths through a cleansing, 7 is like the magic number for restarting your nervous system. If you're standing out in the sun, taking 7 deep breaths and the sun is shining on your face, you are absorbing energy. You have to absorb energy to give energy. It's not just pouring from an empty cup, refilling your cup with self-care. It's doing those things that are actually going to give you energy, literal energy. We're all energetic beings. And we have to tap into that. God's creation. That's where I literally would invite everybody to start. It's free. Go connect with God's creations.
Go outside, get off your phone.
Literally go outside, get off your phone, go touch animals, go eat fish, like go and do those things, connect with God's creation with that perspective of connection. Doing something different is going to bring connection. Step 2, you can't always do it on your own, honestly. Like you really can't always do it on your own. So that's where I would say is to go and hire somebody, a therapist, life coach, where there can be accountability, whether it's people that relate to you or not, but somewhere where there can be actual accountability for you to keep growing. I know several of us probably have invested in courses or been like, oh, I'm going to do that in my own time. And we actually just don't.
No. Yep.
We don't do it. So person to person, that connection right there is actually, right? Man was the last creation. Well, we've just connected to all of God's creation parts. Now it's connecting with the human connection, having that connection and learning about yourself. I mean, there's so many tips and tools that I can share that it's like, no, go and do this. I have a whole nervous system that I've created to help you connect. And I honestly will just share that. But breath, connecting with your breath every single day in some way. I love connecting with your breath, activating the sympathetic nervous system. And how you do that is literally more through faster paced breath in through the mouth. There's so many different types of breath work. I'm certified in 7. You can do tons, but connecting with your breath, activating sympathetic, and then activating your parasympathetic, which is the simple in through the nose and out through your nose. Okay. A lot of us talk about the box breathing. You can do the box breathing for both activation of sympathetic and parasympathetic. So many different things, but connecting with your breath first and foremost, connecting with God in some way, God or yourself. Okay. I believe that there is God in all of us. You have to connect to that God or goddess that is in you. It's not when you get there. It's right now. You are already who you need to be. The power is already inside of you. And it's tapping into that power and seeing your power, stepping back into you. So I would say meeting with yourself, meeting with God. And then step 3 for my nervous system piece is to actually spend time outside in the sun, preferably not just laying there, but movement. We are beings that are made to move. We are made to hunt. We are made to feast. We are made to fast. We are made to have sex, right? Like literally go move your body outside so that you can create energy while receiving energy. And then gratitude. Gratitude is the fastest way to change behavior. And people don't recognize the power of gratitude enough. Gratitude changes behavior quicker than behavior will change behavior. Keeping a gratitude journal. I literally just like 5 minutes of gratitude every morning before you even get out of bed. Our phone's the first thing that we grab. Always.
Sure is.
Right? I'm going to just extend a challenge. The first 5 minutes after waking, we are more in like a meditative state of mind. That is where more subconscious programming and reprogramming can take place. So if you can avoid your phone for the first 5 minutes of waking up, change is going to take place faster. So if that's where you incorporate grounding or getting outside in the sun, even just like not talking to anybody for 5 minutes, but just talking to yourself or talking to God, you will change faster than, who texted me? But like you're just sending a different, you will immediately tap out of that subconscious programming into the doing and the more masculine energy. And then the last one is meditation, sitting with yourself. It's not sitting like this and being like,
my nightmare. Literally my nightmare.
I'm like, shoot, like a silent retreat. Don't sign me up for that. But also that'd be really cool because I would want to see if I could do it. But also like meditate. Meditate simply means to just be. Like you can do a walking meditation. You can do prayer, writing meditations. Like there's so many different forms of meditation that are helpful. Those are my steps. That's kind of my nervous system overhaul to help with that.
I love that you're bringing up so many things that in one way or another, like we've talked about on Gather and Growth for so long. It's just that gratitude, that go outside and move your body. I think sometimes we overcomplicate what this needs to look like. We're like, right now I'm training for a half marathon and it's like, well, I don't have time to run. I don't want to do this. Like, even if you're going back and forth in your driveway for 15 minutes, like go feel the wind on your face, the sun, even if it's not sunny, if it's the middle of winter, like I have never regretted going outside and going on a walk in any weather condition. In fact, I think it is like an incredibly awakening, maybe spiritual, like connected experience when it is raining or snowing or windy or miserable.
You're connecting with literally the element.
Life.
Yes, life.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's no such thing as bad weather, only bad preparation.
Even when it's been like so cold and I'm miserable and like want to have a bad attitude about it, when I come back inside, I'm always like recharged. Like, I'm so glad I did that. We make it so complicated. And it is, the way you're describing it is so simple.
It is. It really is so simple. We are simple beings. We overcomplicate our existence. I'm going to use this phrase because I feel so strongly about it, but we are spirit beings having a human experience. And that's why it's so important to me and so important for me to help other women to come back home to themselves, to recognize you're not just a human being, you are a spirit being first. And we have to connect back to that person first before we have a better human experience.
If you'd be willing to share any pieces of your story or perhaps any wisdom, I know that a lot of times when women are considering making these changes or incorporating new things or diving into these new pathways that no one around them is talking about, it's like, oh my gosh, what does this look like? What are they going to think? What is my partner going to think? Like, how do I do this? How do I explain this? Like, this is weird. How do we navigate that uncharted waters when we're doing something we've never seen modeled in the people we're in immediate community with?
Yeah, a lot of that comes from the love and acceptance that we want to feel from people outside of ourselves. That's what we've strived for a lot of our life, is the approval from other people. Like, they've been our tribe. I've grown up in a really small town myself, and stepping into who I am today, like I still see people from high school and they still expect me to be the same person I was in high school. No, I hope I've changed. Like, I literally hope that I'm a completely different person because we are meant to evolve. And what I have had to work so strongly for is recognizing my truth. I'm not doing this for anybody else. I'm doing this for Sara. Sara's approval and validation has to be enough. My whole life, I've searched for outside of myself. And I think a lot of us struggle with that, is looking for outside validation in this acceptance. And there's going to be lonely parts. You will feel so alone, but that is where you have to recognize you are never actually alone because you will always have you. You have to be your own best friend throughout a journey like this, because your best friend may not actually see your soul, but you see you. Your husband may not see your soul, but you do. You have to. And then the people who are meant to be in your life, who you have a soul contract with, will stay. They will come into your life. You will serve them. You will love them. And you will have no questions about it. There will be no doubts of those interactions. The people you love may not love you back as you navigate uncharted waters, as you change, as you evolve. But guess what? It's a mere reflection of their inner world. Has nothing to do with you.
That's what I was just about to say. The more we evolve, the more we shine a light for other people, shine a light on the things that they are unhealed within themselves.
Yep.
And that's not our responsibility to manage, which is a hard pill to swallow for those of us who are really used to managing everyone else's expectations and perceptions and experiences.
We want to fix. And I think that that's what I have had to take a step back and realize is, Sara, the only person I can fix and control is actually me. And the parts of me, my inner child, my 9-year-old, my 13-year-old, like the parts of me is who I can control. And I can't control anybody else or their journeys. It comes back to me and it comes back to them. They have to do their own work. A question that I often get is like, well, a phrase is like, oh, you're just lucky because your husband is on the same page as you. You're doing healing together. It wasn't always that way. Like it literally wasn't always that way. And I'm grateful now that he's doing his healing, because he hit his rock bottom, but I couldn't be the one to decide when that was or what that looked like. Like he made that choice himself and I led the way for it. And so for any woman who is listening to this, you lead the way. It starts with you. The peace in your home starts with you. The peace in your relationships start with you. The peace in your business starts with you.
Yeah, I love that you bring that up. And then a follow-up question I have to that, that's kind of a huge one. But as a mom doing this work, knowing how deeply you are uncovering and healing these wounds that have existed through childhood. Of course, we know as moms, we cannot strive for any level of perfection because it doesn't exist and it doesn't matter how healed, intentional we are. Our children are experiencing the world in their own way.
Yeah.
But what kinds of things are you doing with your kids and your relationship with them to help them better understand what you know now and set them up to experience the world differently?
Literally, I do this system with them every single day. The nervous system, connecting them to their breath, connecting them to the God inside of them and who they are. I mean, can I just ask her?
Yeah.
Hey, you want to help me for a second? What are things that we do together to help you feel love for yourself?
When mommy cuddles me.
Right? I stay present. What about affirmations?
Mm-hmm.
Do we breathe together?
Sure.
Mm-hmm. Do we ground together? Yeah. Do we have rocks that we connect to earth together?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Ooh, look at that one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it is. It's literally doing those small little practices. A lot of parents, and we're kind of getting away from this and I love it, but a lot of parents say like, do as I say, not as I do.
Yeah.
Wrong. Rewind.
Doesn't work.
No more.
Doesn't work.
We are the models for how we want our children to behave, to respond. It starts with us. And so if you are on your phone a lot and you don't want your kids to have a lot of screen time, reflect. She's laughing. Yeah. Reflection. But these things are actually very important to do. We model the behavior.
I think that's so valuable. Like, again, we overcomplicate it. Even just sitting with my kids and helping them understand what they're experiencing, or when someone says or does something to them at school that hurts their feelings, like we take it apart and like what was leading up to it? Like, how is that person experiencing the world? How is that a reflection of what their inner world looks like or what their home looks like? And just helping them unpack and understand that is building their emotional intelligence and resiliency to experience the world in a totally different way.
Yes.
So, all right, Sara, you are ready for school drop off. So please tell us more. How can we connect with you? Where can we find you? How can we see this whole The Sara Elise unfold?
Yes. Just follow me on Instagram at the Sara Elise. Sara, no H. H is our L. The Sara Elise. Just follow me there. I'll do updates. My website will be posted there once that's up and going again. And then my DMs are always open. Like I'm the one that will respond to your DMs, and I'm such a personable person that like, I want to connect with you. I want you to hear my voice. I want to hear your voice. I want to see your body language. Like, please don't be afraid to message me. And if the phrase ever comes into your mind, oh, she's busy and I don't want to inconvenience her. First of all, inward reflection. Okay.
Yep.
Second of all, just reach out because I would love to connect with any of you that are here and want to learn. So
Beautiful.
Thank you for
Sarah,
having me.
thank you for sharing just your gifts and your energy. I just feel like I want to go outside and channel my inner Sarah. So thank you.
Go outside and channel your inner goddess.
Oh, okay. That's a whole other conversation we could get into, but you got to go to school. So part 2 coming at some point.
I would love it. I would love it. We can talk about so much stuff, moon tracking, all literally everything. So,
I mean, I'm here for it. Let's go. You want to talk about the moon? I will never forget the moment. Okay, guys, we're just going to bring you into a moment here. Yeah. When we are sitting outside in Utah, surrounded by, what do you even call them? They're not mountains, but rocks sounds like anticlimactic.
I mean,
what do you call the structures of Utah?
Mountains is what we say.
Okay. Yeah. The mountains. Yep. The full moon is literally rising, and we are watching it come up as we are gathering in a circle in the grass. Mm-hmm. The meaning of the full moon while we were there was something about shedding and embodying and all. Yeah. It was the most perfect connected woman moment I have ever experienced. It was so cool.
I love it because it's we are taught to, we're not taught. We should be literally looking at God's creation for direction.
Yeah.
And
it was so cool.
We've just gotten so far away from it. And I'm like, no, let's get back to that because women cycle with the moon. Mm-hmm. Men's hormones reset with the sun. We're different beings. And look at the moon. Those of you who are listening to this, go outside tonight and look at the moon and just analyze how you actually feel. Right? In this moment, if it's blah, if it's I feel so energized, I feel so excited, that's going to be a really big indicator of where you're at on your cycle.
Yeah.
Even if you are not having a period, if you are pregnant, if you are breastfeeding, if you are menopause, we still are cyclical beings. Literally a whole other thing, but
that's a whole other conversation. We will come back to it because I'm here for it. All right. You go to school. Thank you so much, Sarah.
Thank you.
I appreciate you.
I love you
so much.
Love all of you. Thank you for having me.
Have I told you today how much I appreciate you? I'd like to imagine this was a meaningful backyard patio kind of chat between friends sipping LaCroix at sunset. If you enjoyed today's show, please take a screenshot to share or forward this episode to a friend. You can also find me at Emily Rushell over on social to continue the conversation. It's truly a joy to hear what tidbits and takeaways made an impact on your day. As always, all links and resources mentioned in today's episode can be found in the show notes listed below or over at emilyrushell.com. Special thanks to my podcast manager, Jill Carr, for the time and love she puts into producing Gather and Growth for this community. What a blessing it is to be on this personal growth journey together. Forever grateful for you.